everyone, I'm Fun from 618 Little Chicken. Is NFT overrated at the moment? Absolutely, but it has changed the way we dealt with art, and the whole art industry has been stirred by it. Personally, I studied art in high school and took some art-related electives in university, but I have no art degree and certainly have not dealt with a single piece of auction art object. However, I started learning about crypto and NFTs from the end of 2021 and earned a 10 times profit with one of the NFT products in the start of 2022. This drives me into studying NFTs with the hopes of gaining more in the future with this fascinating concept. We have discussed previously about how we should choose NFTs, but now we have an updated version. Number 1. How hot is the market for this NFT? An NFT project's price could be raised up to the moon with enough heat in its market, even if the NFT doesn't have any utility or any renowned issuing party or celebrities like the mighty BAYC. However, the success of the CryptoPunk or the BAYC might have had a little more to do with the general rise of the NFT market, and that when you have heard the NFT from your friends, the price might have already been risen up to a level that your profit margin is deemed low. My point is, there are so little NFTs that could become a success. My way to say if I would mint a project is that if the NFT's Twitter posts have only got 100 likes or reposts on the day before the mint, the heat is probably low and I would probably pass the mint and wait. Number 2. Trustworthiness of the issuing party. Here, I do not mean the celebrities or the big company logos on the NFT project site, because as much as we want to be lazy and not do our own research, the devil lies in the details. Often, the celebrities and the big names part is to be the face of the NFT, luring buyers and grabbing social attention. It is a hard fact that most of the time, these celebs or companies either hire someone, was hired by someone, or sold the license to someone to execute the NFT. One might argue that if we trust the celeb or the company name, then we should trust their reputation and senses, right? I think the answer to this question comes down to that at the moment, the NFT's roadmap and promises are just based on the word trust. It is not really legally binding for any parties. So I'd say that not knowing who's really behind the NFT makes your investment tread on thin ice. Number 3. How famous is the artist? Having said the above, maybe you'd have already understood that the artist or celeb doing the branding for the NFT is particularly important, as the fan spectrum will directly affect how big the particular NFT market is. Of course, being famous here does not really mean the NFT would sell well. In Proof's 2 NFT series, we saw that celebs and artists are much more likely to succeed if they are already well known in the NFT market, which is understandable. If Soros approves of an IPO publicly, I would want to buy that too, right? However, I will classify this point as it helps, but this is not the main issue. Number 4. Utility of the NFT. The utility of an NFT states its future value. Like BAYC and Azuki, they have provided multiple drops for the OG, Original Gangsters group. Some other NFT might have given you membership rights, concert tickets, or even fashion items or discount rates. Though utility sounds like the most practical element of an NFT project, it is not. Through studying many NFTs, we found that the most practical NFTs are the ones that does not inflate. We're not convincing for speculations here. Just saying that if you're looking for an NFT that would double or triple in value in a short period of time, this is only a cherry on top. Number 5. Is there any famous holders? Provenance. This point is actually quite significant when it comes to valuing NFTs. However, as the blockchain itself has a decentralized nature, it is often the case that we would only know which famous person is the owner when the NFT has become good enough for the famous holder to brag about their collection. Some famous people has a big enough heart to have revealed their wallet address, but this also makes their wallet more vulnerable to hackers and scam drops. Number 6. Distribution of whitelist and public sale. In other words, how hard it is to mint the NFT. This is probably the last tick on the checklist before you decide to set foot into one NFT project that you have your eyes on. The whitelist could be understood as the privileged group, where they could have a secured place, minted the NFT with a lower price, or that they would have minted before everyone else. This would mean that how hard it is to get privileged will also affect the price of the NFT when it is minted. Some NFT projects might have been derivatives of another, that the OG of the project has had the NFT dropped for free. This segment of owners would affect the price of the project too. I would bluntly say that NFT derivatives are quite hard to be evaluated as the variables have multiplied, and I would strongly suggest rookies to stay far away from them. Comment below to tell me what your interesting ideas are in choosing NFTs. And see you next time. Bye!